Have you ever had one of those days? No, one of those moments where everything seems to fall apart? Maybe it was a business that failed, a relationship that ended, a dream you poured your heart into, only to watch it slip through your fingers. And in that moment, as the pieces of your life lay scattered around you, you found yourself asking, why? Why me? Why now? I've been there. I've asked those same questions. And let me tell you something I've learned through every trial, every heartache, every stumble. It's not the questions we ask when we fall that define us. It's the answers we give ourselves. Because life doesn't care about how many times you fall. It cares about how many times you get back up. Now, let me tell you a story. A story about a boy born without arms or legs. A boy who didn't believe he could ever have a future. That boy was me. I grew up wondering if I would ever be accepted, if I would ever be loved. There were days I thought my life had no purpose. Can you imagine a young boy, barely old enough to understand the world, already feeling like he didn't belong in it? And you know what? I failed over and over again. I failed at walking. I didn't have legs. I failed at fitting in because I didn't look like everyone else. I failed at believing in myself because for so long I listened to the voices telling me I wasn't enough. But here's what I learned. Every failure was a stepping stone. Every no brought me closer to the yes I was searching. It doesn't come to defeat you, it comes to develop you. It's like a sculptor chiseling away at the marble, shaping you into something stronger, something greater, something unstoppable. Let me ask you this. What if the thing you fear the most is the thing you need the most? What if falling isn't a setback, but a setup? A setup for growth, for learning, for discovering just how much you're capable of. Because let me tell you, you're capable of so much more than you think. I want you to imagine this. You're standing at a crossroads. On one side is the path of comfort. It's familiar, it's safe, and it's easy. On the other side, there's the path of challenge. It's uncertain, it's difficult, and it's full of risk. But do you know what's at the end of that second path? Growth, strength, victory. And it all starts with a choice. A choice to face your fears, a choice to embrace failure, a choice to say, this is not how my story ends. Let me tell you, failure gives you two choices: to quit or to learn. And if you choose to learn, you're already winning. Because every failure brings a lesson. Maybe it's a lesson in patience, maybe it's a lesson in humility, maybe it's a lesson in perseverance. Whatever it is, it's a gift. And the sooner you see failure as a gift, the sooner you'll realize that nothing can stop you. Failure is often seen as a roadblock, a dead end that halts progress. But what if we shifted our perspective and viewed failure not as an endpoint, but as a mirror? This mirror doesn't lie. It doesn't sugarcoat. Instead, it reflects who we are in our most vulnerable, unfiltered state. It forces us to confront our fears, insecurities, and limitations, but also gives us the opportunity to discover our strengths and untapped potential. When we fail, the first thing we feel is often pain. Emotional, mental, and sometimes even physical. That pain is uncomfortable, but it's also incredibly valuable. Pain is a signal, a wake-up call that demands our attention. It's the universe telling us that something needs to change. And in that moment, we have a choice: to ignore the message and stay where we are, or to face it head on and learn from it. This is where the mirror of failure becomes a tool for growth. Failure forces us to reflect. It asks us tough questions. Why did this happen? What could I have done differently? What is holding me back? These questions might feel overwhelming, but they're essential. They push us to analyze our actions, decisions, and mindset. They encourage us to look deeper beyond the surface level excuses and uncover the root causes of our setbacks. And in doing so, they reveal truths about ourselves that we might not have discovered otherwise. One of the greatest revelations that failure provides is clarity. Success can sometimes cloud our judgment, making us complacent or overly confident. But failure strips away those illusions. It shows us where we need to grow and what we need to improve. It reveals the gaps in our knowledge, the cracks in our foundation, and the habits or attitudes that might be holding us back. Without failure, we might never notice these things, but with it, we gain a clearer understanding of where we stand and where we need to go. Failure also challenges our perspective on limitations. When we face setbacks, it's easy to believe we've reached the end of the road, that our abilities or circumstances define our destiny. But failure is often the moment when we realize just how resilient and resourceful we truly are. It pushes us to think creatively, to adapt, and to find new ways forward. It reveals strengths we didn't know we had and helps us discover what we're capable of when we refuse to give up. In many ways, failure is a mirror that reflects not just where we are, but also where we could be. It's an opportunity to confront the truth, to embrace self-awareness, and to use that awareness as a stepping stone to growth. It might not be easy to look into that mirror, but when we do, we find the courage to move forward stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever. Failure presents us with a critical choice to rise or to retreat. It's not the failure itself that defines us, but how we respond to it. At its core, failure is a moment of decision, a crossroads, where we determine whether we will let it defeat us or use it to propel ourselves forward. It is in this choice that our true character is revealed. When failure strikes, the first instinct for many is to retreat. The sting of disappointment and the weight of self-doubt can feel overwhelming, leading us to question whether we're capable of continuing. The path of retreat often appears safe, tempting us to avoid the pain of trying again and risking further failure. But this safety is an illusion. Choosing to retreat may shield us from short-term discomfort, but it also robs us of the opportunity to grow, to overcome, and to realize our full potential. On the other hand, rising after failure requires courage. It demands that we face the fear of falling again and confront the doubts that whisper, "You can't do this." This choice to rise is not easy. It requires resilience and an unshakable belief that failure is not the end of the journey, but a part of it. Rising means viewing failure as a stepping stone, a necessary hurdle on the path to success. Every successful person has faced this pivotal choice. Think of individuals who have transformed their failures into triumphs. Thomas Edison famously failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. When asked about his repeated failures, he responded, "I have not failed. I've just found 1,0,0,0,0 ways that won't work." His choice to rise rather than retreat was the difference between giving up and changing the world. Rising also involves a mindset shift. It's about recognizing that failure doesn't define your worth or potential. It's a temporary event, not a permanent state. When you choose to rise, you reclaim control over your narrative. You decide that failure is a moment, not a destination, and that the story you're writing doesn't end with a fall. This choice to rise is not made in isolation. It's a decision we make repeatedly. Every new challenge, every setback, every unexpected turn asks us again, will you rise or retreat? Each time we choose to rise, we strengthen our resilience and build the muscles of perseverance. Over time, this becomes a habit, a way of living that turns even the toughest failures into opportunities for growth. Ultimately, failure is an invitation to choose. To rise is to take the harder, braver path, but is the only one that leads to true fulfillment and success. The power of choice lies within us, and when we choose to rise, we discover a strength we never knew we had. Failure is often misunderstood as a sign of defeat, but in reality, it is a powerful stepping stone towards success. Every failure we face is an opportunity to learn, grow, and build the foundation for a stronger, more resilient version of ourselves. While the sting of failure can feel overwhelming, it is in these moments of difficulty that some of life's greatest lessons emerge. When we experience failure, we are forced to confront our methods, assumptions, and decisions. This process of self-reflection is invaluable. It allows us to identify what went wrong and why, paving the way for improvement. Failure becomes a teacher, showing us areas that need adjustment and guiding us towards solutions we might not have considered before. These lessons, though hard-earned, are crucial for personal and professional growth. Success is rarely achieved without failure. Behind every significant achievement is a story of setbacks and perseverance. Consider the lives of innovators, leaders, and pioneers. Individuals like Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, or J.K. Rowling. Each of them faced rejection, criticism, and defeat before achieving their dreams. Their stories remind us that failure is not the opposite of success, it is part of the journey to success. Failure also builds resilience. Every time we fail and choose to rise again, we strengthen our ability to face adversity. It's like a muscle. The more we use it, the stronger it becomes. Over time, we develop the mental toughness needed to navigate challenges with confidence and composure. This resilience not only helps us overcome future failures, but also equips us to take bigger risks and pursue greater goals. Turning failure into a stepping stone requires a shift in mindset. Instead of seeing failure as an endpoint, we must view it as a beginning, a chance to start again with more knowledge and experience. This perspective allows us to transform setbacks into opportunities, seeing them as valuable parts of the learning process rather than insurmountable obstacles. Practical strategies can help us leverage failure for growth. One approach is to reframe failure as feedback. By analyzing what happened objectively, we can extract insights that lead to better decisions. Another strategy is to stay adaptable. Failure often requires us to pivot, to try a different approach, or to embrace new ideas. Flexibility in the face of failure opens the door to innovation and creativity. Ultimately, failure is not something to fear, it's something to embrace. It's the stepping stone that bridges the gap between where we are and where we want to be. When we learn to see failure as a necessary part of the journey, we unlock its transformative power. It shapes us, strengthens us, and prepares us for the successes that lie ahead. Each failure is a step closer to achieving our greatest potential, and every step we take builds a foundation that is unshakable.